Welcome to Off the Podium. My name is not Ben Waterworth. My name is Jamie Lyko, and I'm making my Off the Podium hosting debut. I am here with Ben Waterworth, the Ben Waterworth, and Colin Hilding, and we are back for our next Olympic review. We are headed back to the year 1900 and to the City of Lights, Paris. How are you guys doing today?
I am fantastic, Jamie. Well done. Can I give you a clap? That was really good. And
thanks. All right. Cool.
I am glad to be introduced by the esteemed Jamie Lyko. I'm glad that I can have that honor, that I'm one of the first two people you ever get to introduce on a podcast. So thank you very much.
Honor's mine.
Ben's just happy for anybody to introduce somebody.
I like my name being said. What can I say?
And ladies and gentlemen, number one on the most wanted list this week, Ben Waterworth.
Yeah. Woo!
All right, guys, let's get into it. We got a lot to cover, a lot of nonsense to cover.
Wow.
Hey, what if I told you that the Olympic Games were not always the finely tuned, precision-timed sports festival that they are today? What if I told you there was a time when the games were dwarfed by an even larger international festival and became such a muddled mess that some athletes didn't even know they were competing in the Olympics? The games were not always 16 days of glory. Sometimes this year, in fact, 1900, they were 167 days of confusion and controversy. Well, it's true. The games of the Second Olympiad are known today as the farcical games.
Oh, well done. You got there.
Pardon my farcical games, and pardon my French, but it was a shit show. And though amongst the shit show, there was remarkable athletic feats, groundbreaking social change, and exhilarating Olympic firsts, the games were such a mess that the Olympic movement almost died in its infancy. We are going 125 years into the past to the Paris Olympic Games. Guys, let's set the scene, though. Let's talk about what was going on in the world. What are your first hot takes on the 1900 Olympics?
I had sort of some knowledge of these games. I mean, these to me were always the games where automobile racing was a thing, balloon racing, like live pigeon shooting. Like these are the stories that you'd heard of. But I think that I always kind of factored in that St. Louis were the absolute batshit bonkers games. I didn't realize that Paris was up there as well in 1900 because as much as I loved my research on Athens, that was fun, that was great. This, I feel I could just keep reading about them for days and just the stories and everything with it. I mean, to even think that these are classified as Olympic Games is insane, absolutely insane. And we're doing this a year removed from a pretty bloody good Paris Olympics in 2024. I kind of want to go back to 1900 and see these in person. I mean, God, 5 months, I would have been able to see a lot. Let's just say that. They're crazy.
I think the only unfortunate thing is that nobody there at the time realized that they were witnessing history for the better or worse. I mean, that's the unfortunate thing is that, as much insanity as there is here, there's so many gaps that literally we don't know. There are athletes we still don't know. There's results we still don't know. Medal tables, everything. My knowledge going into this was pretty minimal, other than the fact that this and St. Louis always sort of get grouped together. It's are they really Olympics? They're kind of World's Fair things. And, I think I only really learned a little bit more about St. Louis last year when we were covering Paris, when we started talking about the marathon. And then, Ben, I think you interviewed the guy with the one-legged gymnast or whatever.
Yep.
So, a lot of this stuff is completely new to me. And at the same time, I'm glad that the Olympics didn't die as a result of this in St. Louis, because it very well could have happened. There's still some incredible, Olympic stuff. We could still consider Olympic nostalgia here, things where it's this still fits with the Olympic theme, but the prestige is clearly gone. And this was probably a necessity. I think that's the most interesting thing about this is that we talked about how during Athens, it was difficult to find people who would back this. It was something completely new. And really, as much as this in St. Louis, potentially could have killed the Olympics forever, I don't think we ever would have had a second Olympics if you just waited for a city to host it. They needed something like the World's Fair. This was it was a necessary evil to get them where they were going to be in about another 8 years after this.
That's a really good point. Yeah, my takeaway was I don't think we're going to be getting an NBC made for television 2-part miniseries like we did for Athens about the St. Louis Olympics.
No David Caruso coming back, to reprise his role or anything like that.
That would be great. That would be great. And we could have some actual women competitors in it. So we'll get to that. But before we dive into the games, let's take a little trip around the world and see what was going on in 1900. Anybody want to take a guess at how many people there were in the world?
I mean, I could be an ass and give you an answer because I've got a piece of paper in front of me.
No, it's fine. Give me an answer.
I want to say 1.6 billion people.
Oh, thank you. You bailed me out because I actually got the population of Australia, Canada, and the United States and forgot to look up the population in the entire world. There were 3.8 million people in Australia, 5.3 million people in Canada, and 76 million people in the United States.
Wow.
What do you got on the leader of Australia, Ben?
We still didn't have one. We were a year away from being a country, so we were still basically a bunch of colonies that weren't federated. We weren't federated until 1901. So Mr. Edmund Barton, our first Prime Minister, was getting ready to be the George Washington of Australia in about a year time. So this is the last time I can say we didn't have a leader at this point because we technically weren't a proper country in 1900.
Well, you're in Melbourne, and the governor of Melbourne at the time was Thomas Brassey, 1st Earl of Brassey. Do you have any good factoids on the good old Earl?
Oh, look, Earl. I would regale you with all my Earl facts, but we'd be here for too long. So, look, I'll politely pass for the sake of keeping this episode, to time. Today.
I was reading that he liked sailing, and I was really hoping that he was.
Did he ever? I think about Earl. I think about Earl. I think about all those classic sailing stories. God, they're hilarious.
Earl was a beast at ballooning and tug of war and firefighting.
Should have seen him in the horse long jump. That man knew how to make a horse jump long. Did he ever? Oh, classic Earl.
What was going on in Canada?
So we actually have a notable prime minister this time, not like Mr. 6-month term or whatever we had last time. We actually have one of the most famous Canadian prime ministers, Sir Wilfrid Laurier, who Ben will recognize because as long as he handled cash while he was living here in Canada, he was our $5 bill guy.
Oh, was it? Oh, okay. I think $5. I still think of the Queen because she was on ours, but we had the blue bills. Is that the one with the hockey on one side of it, or is that the other one?
I don't know. I haven't handled dollar bills.
Clearly, I held a lot of Canadian dollars when I lived there. Yep.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But he is legitimately one of the more famous prime ministers. Just looking it up, he had the longest consecutive term of any prime minister ever. So basically, the only ones who surpassed him as more time in office were, maybe elected, defeated, re-elected after that. He also, 32 years, the longest party leader ever, 32 years as a party leader.
Wow.
45 years.
Tune out Donald Trump, that sort of thing. You're not allowed to do that. Go away.
Yeah. and time in the House of Commons, 45 years, the longest ever. So he's three times Maclean's magazine, which is probably like the most prestigious Canadian news magazine, has had like a poll of like the greatest prime minister of all time. In the 1997 edition, he ranked 3rd among prime ministers. In the 2011 edition, he ranked number 1. And the 2016 edition, he ranked number 2. So pretty much across the board considered one of Canada's all-time greats.
And first French-Canadian prime minister I'm seeing here too. So
I think his legacy was more being the first prime minister that kind of bridged the divide between French and English-speaking Canada, even though it seems like the French Canadians were more critical of him than the English ones.
Well, as if the French Canadians criticize anything. What are you talking
They're going to be critical no matter what, right?
Yeah.
Hello, French Canadian listeners.
Bonjour.
I liked him because he looked like an imperial officer. If you see the picture of him, he's got this white flowing hair. Like he looks like an imperial officer who would contradict Darth Vader and say that the Death Star was going to be ready on time and then immediately get choked. That's like the minute I saw him, I was like, don't
try to frighten me with your sorcerer's ways, Lord Vader.
But I love this picture here on kids.kiddle.co. There's a picture of him next to his wife, who honestly looks like his mother. And she's like wearing like one of those doorstop rug things that you put to keep the cold in, the warm in, and the hat. Like, I mean, I guess in 1900 you were hot back then, but yeah, I don't know. Like, wow. And he's got a cane and a top hat. That makes him cool in 1900.
It was the style at the time.
Yeah.
Well, we did not have our number one president of all time back in 1900. He's a middle of the pack at best, but William McKinley, known for territorial expansion within the United States and outside, his laissez-faire attitudes towards the roles of government, and his love of tariffs. His absolute love of tariffs, which makes, our current president a bit of a William McKinley fanboy.
Yep.
Sadly, though, William McKinley is most famous for being assassinated.
I was going to say he got shot, didn't he? Like he
did.
Yeah.
Leon Czolgosz, I believe Czech anarchist, shot him at the Pan American Festival in Buffalo.
Oh, Buffalo.
Made it yeah. He made it a few days. Not a kind of place you think of, assassinations, especially political assassinations.
Angry Bills fans. We can't win a Super Bowl.
Yeah. My knowledge of the obscure presidents comes down to the Simpsons episode where they had the President's Day musical number and they went through we're the forgotten presidents. And was he, I don't think it was him, but the name sounds like it was in the song. I just remember the one guy, it's like, I died in 30 days. It was part of the chorus.
Okay. That wasn't him because he made it at least until 1901, like later in 1901. But
good for him.
I don't know who only. I know which one I would like. I shouldn't say that live on the air.
No.
All right, moving on. Can
I just add? I think he was the one. This is a stupid fact, but isn't that the high school in Glee? Isn't that McKinley High? Wasn't that named after William McKinley?
Oh, yeah, I think you're right. Yeah,
there you go. That's how I knew that name. I'm like, I think he got shot in Glee.
So
there's a lot
William Henry Henrison was the one who died in 30 days.
William Henry Harrison. Wow.
Often confused.
We won't get to him till I don't even know when. I think he died before this. Yes, so we will never get to him.
Yeah. No,
not in an Olympic year. He didn't die in an Olympic year.
The price of gas was 13.5 cents per gallon. Sorry for all the people out there that want to do liters. And 7 cents a gallon for petrol, although we only had about 8,000 cars in the United States. What was going on in the sports?
In the Olympics.
Ben, what was going on in the sports world?
Well,
in Australia,
we had the AFL grand final. Back then, it was still the VFL. We're not going to be able to call it the AFL until the 1990s, but the VFL, which was the precursor to what we now call the AFL. But that was in its fourth season. It was very fresh. And the Melbourne Demons, Melbourne won their very first ever grand final. They beat Fitzroy by 4 points in front of 20,000 people. And a big crowd, obviously, back then. But it's a bit of history for Melbourne. They've gone to be one of the dominant sides of that period of time and still in the competition to this day. Fitzroy don't exist anymore. They merged with Brisbane. But congratulations, Melbourne. They're the hoity-toity club of the AFL. They're the, let's go and dip our cheese and have our crackers while we watch the football. Come on, Demons. That's Melbourne. Shout out to all our Demons fans. Yeah.
Is their stadium still around?
The MCG, the Melbourne Cricket Ground, is the home of the 1956 Olympics, greatest stadium in the world. I was there a week ago. Yes, it is still there and very cool. Pristine condition. The biggest stadium in Australia still by far.
What about what was going on in the world of hockey?
We're still in the era where the Stanley Cup is awarded multiple times in a year. But actually, this entire year, 1900, it was dominated by the Montreal Shamrocks. They actually won back-to-back Stanley Cups throughout 1899 and 1900. And sadly, after their second Stanley Cup win, they pretty much tanked and they never regained their glory. Ended up folding about 12 years later in a pathetic sixth place. Probably only 6 teams in the league at that point. But yeah, their heyday coincided with the 1900 Paris Olympics, obviously being French-Canadian. There was a lot of pride in that. So as soon as the Paris Olympics fell apart, so did the Montreal Shamrocks. They were not long for the world after that.
And I see they actually beat Winnipeg as well that year. So after Winnipeg won it in 1896, they lost in 1900. Come on, Winnipeg.
It's the battle of the Olympic years. Montreal won't be there when we get to 1904, sadly.
That is sad. We had no Super Bowl yet and no NFL championship until 1933. The Brooklyn Superbas won the National League because we didn't have a World Series until 1903. Superbas, though, did become the Brooklyn Dodgers, now the Los Angeles Dodgers.
Oh, wow.
And the Yale Bulldogs were the college football national championships, but I'm pretty sure that was awarded retroactively.
Get on the Bulldogs. Yale.
We like to.
Do we like Yale
here?
No, Yale.
Yale's in Connecticut. They have a great old stadium. We would always go when University of Connecticut would play them. We would pack onto buses at UConn and drive down there and get really, really drunk in front of the smart kids. So,
Goodwill Hunting.
Yeah, that was
basically living out Goodwill Hunting. Goodwill Jamie.
This is how long ago this was. Goodwill Hunting hadn't come out yet when I was going to the Yale Bull.
You created that then, basically.
It was based on.
I would just walk around Yale campus solving equations.
How do you like them apples?
Speaking of movies, there were not a lot of movies yet to speak of, but the Lumiere brothers and George Méliès. Is that how I always say that guy's name wrong?
Méliès, yeah.
Oh, look at me. I'm not hosting this week. I don't have to butcher pronunciations.
They were making silent films, and 2 years later, Méliès would release his famous film, A Trip to the Moon, which everyone knows was inspired by a Smashing Pumpkins video.
Yeah,
exactly.
Billy Corgan, that iconic auteur.
We didn't have charts yet, but Billboard magazine did start being published in May of 1900, but they didn't start releasing charts until 1936. But we're on our way, so we can talk about all the great music in the world in 1936 when we get to.
I found that apparently there was a popular piece of music called Maple Leaf Rag. Now I don't know if that was a Canadian song, but apparently Scott Joplin in 1899 it swept into 1900. So
I as soon as I saw the name in the notes there, I knew the name Scott Joplin. I mean, he basically
Janice's
is
dad.
like Janice's dad. Yeah, both of them were very famous for ragtime music, but that style of music, he was sort of like the I don't know if you'd call him the father of that, but the one who really popularized it. But he became more famous decades later in the 70s when his music had a revival because of the movie The Sting, which when on our other show, The Oz Network, when we did our top 50 favorite movies of all time, The Sting made my list. Everybody knows the theme from The Sting. The
Entertainer, right?
Yeah, The Entertainer's in that one as well. Yeah. So that soundtrack was, I think, primarily based on Scott Joplin music, although Maple Leaf Rag was not in it, because when I played Maple Leaf Rag, like, I wonder if I've heard this before. Never heard it in my life. So it was not famous
Canadian.
enough in Canada.
Yeah, clearly.
Key births and deaths. I had Aaron Copland, another famous American composer, and Margaret Mitchell, author of Gone in the Wind. And you guys track anybody down?
The Queen's
I forgot
mother.
to look up Olympians.
The Queen. I've got some
Queen's
Olympians
mother.
for it, but the Queen's mum was born in 1900. So I remember when she died. I was like, she was 101 or something. Didn't she die in 2001 or something like that? I remember her death.
Yeah.
I was actually living in London. I was like, we get this excited over the deaths of our leaders' parents. That was a big deal.
Yeah, it was.
I didn't.
So some famous Olympians, lots of medalists born, but so we had the great American diver Clarence Bud Pinkston, who won a gold in 1920 in the 10-meter platform and a silver in the 3-meter springboard. Polish athlete Halina Konopaka, who was a gold medalist in discus in 1928. She was born in 1900. The oldest ever Olympic medalist in history, Tebbs Lloyd Johnson from England, a race walker. He won a bronze medal in the 50-kilometer walk in the 1948 Olympics. He was born in 1900. And American figure skater Beatrix Lotterin was born. She's a triple Olympic gold medalist, 1924, 1928, 1932. And a Swedish swimmer by the name of Håkan Malmrot, a gold medalist in the 200, 400 breaststroke in 1920, was born in the year 1900. There's actually a lot. I just chose a couple there to signify there, but I thought Tebbs Lloyd Johnson. We need to remember his name when it comes to 1948.
So I want to say I got that beat, but I definitely don't. I mean, for one thing, celebrities weren't what they are then, and we wouldn't have heard of most of these people. But I just love when you look up famous people's births in 1900, you'll get people, it's like, this accounted for fame. One of them I found on here is Percival Frank Aruzu, who was the principal of the Gan Eng Seng School in Singapore from 1938 to 1951.
One
Principals
of the best.
were celebrities.
Yeah.
In Singapore, at least, they were celebrities.
When I'm there in a few weeks, I'll track the school down. We'll see just how famous.
Oh, yes.
You know?
Get a picture in front of it.
Yeah.
That would be awesome.
Yeah. Oscar Wilde died in 1900, and so did Frederick Nietzsche. I can never say his name, but that guy. So, pretty sad. Rip to them. Did Jamie know that?
Yeah,
Did she send you a message of that, Colin?
No, she didn't.
Oscar Wilde died?
He died. Whoa.
125 years ago.
To talk about this.
Events of significance. We had the Galveston hurricane in the United States, in Galveston, Texas, and killed between 6,000 and 12,000 people, which I was struck by. I mean, I know record keeping wasn't what it was today, but like that's a big gap. Like you figure if you lost, we could have lost as few as 6,000 people or twice as many people.
Double the amount. That's not just like 6 to 7,000. It's like between 6 and 12. Okay. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wow.
Gamma rays were discovered by French physicist Paul Villard, and L. Frank Baum published The Wonderful Wizard of Oz.
Oh, there you go. He's still making money, no doubt, with Wicked coming out. Well, he's dead, I'm sure, but his family. But the modern escalator was first used in 1900 at the World's Fair, funnily enough, where the Olympics were. The Zeppelin, the famous, everyone's favorite form of flight, had its first flight in 1900. The first radio receiver received transmission of the human voice in 1900. So without that, we wouldn't be talking right now in some capacity. And my favorite, quantum theory. I can't get enough of quantum theory. I love it. It was first proposed by the great Max Planck. What a man Max Planck is. Love
Everybody
him.
knows that.
Oh, getting a tattoo of Max next week. Love him.
I got nothing else really. The Second Boer War was taking place.
Oh,
that's pretty much all.
Underrated war. Underrated.
Very underrated.
Very underrated war.
It's got to be up there as one of the best sequel wars ever.
Yeah, no, true. Good sequel. Yep. Much better than the first. Much better.
The only other thing I had was that Robert R. Montgomery invented the fly swatter.
Oh, well.
Still using it to this day.
Well, fat lot of good that does down under, mate. But thanks for trying.
That has basically gone unchanged in the 125 years.
That electric one, like the tennis racket one.
Oh,
You've got one of those ones. They're cool.
I like those guns that you can like shoot the air at the flies.
You're American, of course you like guns.
There you go. There it is. There it is.
I'm just excited when in 4 years we get to talk about fly swatting the sport in the St. Louis games.
Officially unrecognized though after about 100 years.
It's just one of the World's Fair ones.
Yeah.
Does anyone have anything else about the state of the world in 1900, or should we get to Paris?
Look, I think we've
Let's
covered
get to the games. Let's get to the World Fair.
You covered the fly swat. I think
exactly.
We're good. Yeah.
So, apparently Coubertin wanted the Olympics to be in Paris, the first Olympics to be in Paris in 1900, but a group of people pushed for it to be in Athens because they didn't want to wait that long. I looked up the Expo started planning in 1892. So is it fair to think that Coubertin was planning this all along? Like he had always wanted to have the Olympics during the...
Yeah, there's varying reports. I don't know, Colin, what you've got, but because I've read that, but then I read that it was he wanted them all in Athens, but then basically what stopped it was there was wars happening in that part of the world, so there was France, but then he wanted them to coincide with the World Fair, and this was chosen at the same Congress that Athens was. So there's 3 or 4 different reports I've read of what actually happened and how these were chosen, but I think he always thought they should tie in with the World Fair in some capacity. But as you kind of touched in your introduction, he basically said afterwards, this was fucked. This pretty much should have killed the Olympic Games. So, Colin, I don't know if you have anything different to add on that, but there were so many different reports of how these were actually chosen.
Yeah, I mean, considering the very short turnaround and the fact that that was one of the issues that everybody in the organizing committee admitted with Athens, is that we didn't have enough time. I would tend to believe that they did decide on this, because from everything I see, basically at the same time they decided on Athens, they said the second one, should there be a second one, will be done with the World's Fair. And the fact that we're going to follow that with another World's Fair after that, I think it was the plan all along. Otherwise, I don't think that there would have been as much of a story made about the very short turnaround of Athens.
And I think we should mention just with the World's Fair, like this, the World's Fair used to be like the biggest thing in the world. Like, I mean, they still exist. What are they called? Like expos or whatever. But, you know, you hear about them, and I think they're every like 5 years now or something like that. And I know, like, in an Australian perspective, Brisbane had one in the 80s, and that was often seen as like the birth of Brisbane as being like a big city, and, you know, so many things transformed that city. But, you know, at this period of time, this was the thing. This, like, how many of these World's Fairs transform cities? I mean, so many famous monuments are born from a World's Fair. I mean, the Eiffel Tower, the Space Needle, you know, what's that weird, like, Men in Black monument in Queens, right? Like, you know, like, so many of these things are born from the World's Fair. Like, Chicago's was, like, you know, very famous. So I think, like, it made sense on paper if you think about it. Like, this would be the equivalent of if somebody today is coming up with some new event, I'm going to piggyback off the Olympics, you know, because that's the biggest event in the world. So, yeah, on paper, it does make sense. So I see why you would want to do it. But in hindsight, yeah, it was stupid. But, you know.
I think that the other issue, which I don't know if we're getting ahead of ourselves here or if now's the right time to talk about, is that the IOC kind of lost control of being the organizing committee for this, you know? So as it got closer, a lot of these issues really didn't have anything to do with Coubertin or anybody else in the IOC. It's that they weren't able to maintain the same control over these games, which when we get to St. Louis, I'm going to be interested to see if it was a similar thing, because by piggybacking this off of the World's Fair, you know, there were things that they simply couldn't control. There's things they wanted to do. It's like, well, we're not going to give you authorization for that. And then in the end, they end up losing the ability to make a lot of decisions that probably could have kept this in more traditional games.
Yeah, Coubertin withdrew involvement, and the quote I have is he later regretted it, saying, "I surrendered, and I was incorrect in doing so."
How unusual for a French person to surrender. That's unheard of. Wow.
The French jokes are back from bed.
Yes! It's been a while.
There was that 1 year grace period after being there where you had to be nice.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah, so we'll circle back around to the numbers and the dates and everything, but more on the Coubertin surrender. So the Olympic term was rarely used. The official name became bear with me.
Here we go.
Concours International de Exercises, Physique de Sport. That's the best I can do.
That is the most non-French
American
pronunciation
reading of French ever.
De Exercises. Brilliant. You should host every week. Oh, look at this. We've got children. I've got cats. Colin, where's your appearance?
I wasn't looking at the video. You said there's children. I'm like, who made it down here?
Go inside. You got to go inside.
You need to have a random appearance going on in the background there, Colin. Like, come on.
There's always a random appearance. I'm just waiting for the day where there's not a random appearance behind me in an episode.
It's happening today. You're missing out. Jamie's really showing you right now. Just politely try to say, look, go and play with your space toys. Go with the space
my kids are slightly older than Jamie's, so I can just say he can look forward to the day when they actually come down and they throw things at him. That's when it gets really exciting.
Yeah, that's always fun. Yep. I just have a cat here that I can just be like Dr. Evil and patting a cat this whole time. $1 billion.
All right. The press used inconsistent titles: international championships, Paris championships, world championships, the Grand Prix of the Paris Exposition, which leads to something I mentioned, and we'll certainly talk about more, is athletes didn't even know where they were. They didn't know they were at the Olympics, and we're going to talk about that. But Paris had no opening or closing ceremonies, but officially, or as officially as things involving the Paris Olympics get, they ran from May 14th to October 28th.
Wow.
And I thought like maybe that was how long the expo was. and like the events were, a more restricted time. But no, they had fencing on May 14th and they had the rugby final on October 28th. So they went all of 167 days.
Aren't you glad podcasting didn't exist back? Imagine doing 160 odd days of this every day. I'm on day 112 of the Olympics. Welcome
and
to the
all
recap.
there was that day was like the pelota semifinal.
Yeah.
Like that's all there was to talk about.
Oh, what a pelota match that was. One for the ages. Who's your athlete of the day, Colin? No, I'm throwing a chair. No, it should have been the Luxembourg, but he's from France. No, he's from Luxembourg. Boo. Wow.
It's I don't know, the entire extended Olympics thing, like, I guess it makes sense if you need to wait on certain venues and, this is before there's a lot of structure or World Cups or anything like that, right? But I can't see the whole idea of this is that we're piggybacking off the World's Fair. We want to generate interest, but extending this over 6 months, it doesn't make it interesting. It's sort of like, any sport you watch, the NHL, the NFL, the AFL, whatever it is. Everybody kind of gets to that point about halfway through the season, 2/3 of the way through the season. You're like, oh, there's another game on tonight. And then you start following during the playoffs. I mean, that's where I see the problem being with this is that.
Spoken like a true Leafs fan.
Exactly. For the first round.
Jamie's
occasionally the second.
Jamie, meanwhile's killing a spider or something like that.
I'm getting.
Let's hope it's not the kids.
Oh, I was thinking like you're either killing a spider or your child is really annoying you. Like, get back.
I told you to get out.
Get back.
I don't hit my kids live on podcast.
Colin does.
Yeah, the point being that, no, they hit me. That's what we're discussing. That's the problem. But yeah, the whole point being, I mean, yes, individual events are going to be going on for 2-3 days or something like that. But you're not going to be maintaining spectators from one event after the other. So the idea of doing this over a long period of time, it simply doesn't work because you don't have any information. And we're going to get to one interesting fact later on about the lowest attended event in Olympic history. And I think it kind of shows how people are only going to be able to come for the one event that they want to see.
Even lower than Tokyo? When there was nobody at them?
Lower than Tokyo.
Wow.
I mean, you got to figure that these expositions, these world fairs, like people are rolling in, they're coming for 3 days. So there's always new people, but it doesn't sound like anybody going to this expo would have had any idea of what was going on. So it's not like two years in advance, they were buying their tickets for, Milano Cortina, like we are now. Like it's so, yeah.
And the organizers of the World Fair didn't want them. They saw organized sports as not interesting. Like, who cares? So it was kind of twisting of the arms. And I think you alluded to, Jamie, about the fact that, the different names and that is that these were combinations. This is where even to this day, historians can't come to a conclusion of how to classify sports, medalists, everything, because you literally had mixtures of amateurs and professionals. So there was a long jump for professionals and there was a long jump for amateurs, but the amateurs are only considered Olympic gold medalists, not the professionals. We'll get to an Australian shooter who for so long was considered an Olympic gold medalist, but then wiped from the records. The IC said, no, you're not an Olympic gold medalist anymore. And then also you've got all these other sports where at the time they were considered part of this, but in history term, they are now just unofficial / demonstration sports. So they're not classified. So you do not have an Olympic champion in pigeon racing, sadly. But that was there. So like, this is where it's like, it's
being a champion's not about a medal, Ben. Being a champion, it's in here.
True. Yes.
It's in here. It's in your heart.
Very.
But is it
spoken like a
pigeon's
true?
heart
I
or
don't
the
know. I don't know.
person's?
Is what sporting teams you go for? Spoken like a true. Insert sporting team here. Fan. It works.
Not a lot was built. I couldn't find any record of anything being built specifically for the Olympic part of the exposition. There were no opening and closing ceremonies, so there's no real Olympic stadium. Yeah. Coubertin did want to create a elaborate recreation of ancient Olympia with like statues and temples, and the expo people were like, no, we're not doing that. So that plan got scrapped. Most of the events took place in and around Paris. Water polo swimming took place in the River Seine. Shooting took place in Satori, about 24 kilometers away, and golf took place in Compiègne, about 80 kilometers away. 26 countries, a lot of new ones.
Yeah.
Can I just interrupt for a second? For venues, I didn't even realize this till I was digging into it. I mean, we everybody loved the whole Eiffel Tower thing with the volleyball and stuff for this, but is it, I don't know if it's pronounced like Tuileries Gardens? I mean, everybody kind of knows the location. You can visualize it. That's where the fencing was held. To me, that's a visual they should have brought back in last year's Paris Games. That would have been incredible to see it outdoor in the middle of like this historic site. You see stuff in the background. That would have almost rivaled the Eiffel Tower behind the volleyball.
Well, they had that would have been cool. I mean, the Grand Palais was pretty nice, but that would have been pretty nice. But the athletics venue, I don't know if I'm jumping the gun here by talking about this, but it was basically literally in a field with trees, to the point where the discus kept getting disrupted because the discus would keep hitting trees. And it was actually so close to a agricultural show that the athletes would often be put off by the smell of this area. It was that bad. But I did see somebody had done a video and they'd visited the sites. And now it's like this exclusive club, like one of those, hoity-toity sports clubs you've got to be a member of. You can't go in there. But like he was showcasing where it is, and just the fact that, I mean, imagine Noah Lyles running the 100 meters like past some trees, and then you're doing the discus, and no, do that again and hit the tree. You've got to do it again, and it stinks like cow shit. So maybe Pierre should have had some sort of sway to build something, because at least the Stade de France when I was there didn't smell like cow shit, so that was good.
Yeah, I would imagine when they got together to plan Paris 24, they were like, let's focus, if we're going to look to the past, let's focus on 1924.
Yeah.
Let's think about those games.
Happen.
We'll just.
The cricket was held in the middle of the velodrome. There's a fun fact for you.
All right.
Yep.
26 countries attended the games. I have two that went to Athens but did not return, were Bulgaria and Chile.
Mm-hmm.
There were a bunch of new countries: Argentina, Belgium, Bohemia, Cuba, Haiti, India, Mexico, the Netherlands, Norway, Persia, now Iran, Peru, Romania, Russia, and Spain. I read that and I had to go back and double check. I thought Spain was in Athens. No?
I thought they were too, but they weren't. And Bohemia, I had to check that up. I thought it was just, neighbors with Rhapsody, but apparently it's a large region that involves Czech Republic. Basically the western region of modern day, Czechia, as we've officially now known that it is called. So that is what Bohemia is, or was, essentially. But yeah, I thought Spain was up there too. That was interesting. And Netherlands as well. It's interesting to see that some of these countries that were sort of at those games, Haiti and India, they're sort of ones that I would assume would be a bit more modern.
Cuba, Haiti, and India were surprising, and Cuba got on the board. So we'll talk about that later. But
but there also again, this is one of those speculation things where it's sort of like there's these countries, but like I mean, we should mention Canada technically made their debut here as well. But there's like, as we're going to discover with medalists and that, like it's always been like, who did they represent? Like, because the Canadian athletes were like, even the Australian athletes, like, were they British? Are they like Australian? Like, again, Australia technically wasn't a country in 1900, but we were still sending athletes. So it's the history. We're doing our best here. I'm sure we're going to get a lot of comments. We got a few on our Athens ones, but like, I'm sure we're going to get a lot of people going, well, this is what happened, because like historians still debate exactly the specifics of these games. So yeah.
Yeah. There's so much crossover between who, like you said, who you're actually, or where you're actually from and who you're actually representing. There's things that I found where I didn't even have time to make notes on it, just digging through different facts where it's like, oh, this gold medal is attributed to Great Britain, but it only was discovered years later that the athletes were actually from Austria or stuff like that, and as you said, countries that don't exist and all that. But there are a couple of fun stories, I think, but then we also get the confusion of events where you have multiple people, like these team events. We have multiple people. Wait till we talk about the cricket and how one of those nations was not even represented really on their own team.
Well, you can talk about croquet, where basically the only country represented was France. And one of our Australian athletes basically created history as the first ever Olympian to win medals for two different countries. And he did it in the same games. So, yeah, we'll get that.
The same name kept popping up when I was doing research. Bill Mallon. Was a golfer, an orthopedic surgeon, and he's an Olympic historian. And I feel like sometime along the way, it just whatever Bill Mallon said, like that's the decision that got made. Like we're about to number of athletes, 1,226. Like how can they? How who's deciding that?
Yeah,
how is that number getting settled upon?
That's another one. It's similar when we get to the medal table. It was different in every page. It's like I've seen listed that 11 women. This is the first time that women ever competed. I've seen that number as 11. I've seen that number as low as
22.
I've seen 22.
22.
Like it's there's that level there. So yeah, you're right. Like how's he counting these? Because even who's he counting? The professionals, the amateurs? Like it's just we'll just make it up.
If we have anybody listening to the show who is over 125 years old and has anything that has not been dug up yet, please send it our way.
Yeah.
Or was there. If you were there and you had, boots on the ground, we'd love to hear from you.
Yeah. Dick Van Dyke's still alive. He was probably back there, wasn't he?
He was in competitive dancing at the Paris Games.
Of course he was. Not Basque Piloto.
Sweeping.
Basque Piloto.
Like I said, there were 1,226 athletes at the game. 720 of them, nearly 60%, were French.
Oh, bloody.
Here's another, this is, again, the official number of sports was 19.
This is going to be common for a lot of these early Olympics where everything's just dominated by the host nation.
Yeah.
I don't even know at what year we're going to start to see things level out a little bit. But I mean, I know for a fact when we get to St. Louis next week, I mean, it's going to be the most dominant American games.
And then London 1908 is just ridiculous when it comes to the medal table. So, yeah.
I'm sure you guys have some facts about sports, but I read there in rowing, some of the coxswains were replaced with young boys.
Oh,
yes.
Yep.
Their names aren't known, and it's unclear whether or not they received medals, cups, or trophies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So this is, if I could just jump in, this was probably the most interesting fact that I found. And there's specifically the gold medal winning team. What was the actual event here?
The coxless pair, the Dutch pair.
The Cox pair. Yeah.
Yep.
So basically, apparently what the story is, or one of the stories out there, is that they just need an extra person, and a child anywhere from the age of 7 to 12 basically sat in the boat with them for the event, but officially did win. And this one French boy, as they say, was never identified to this day, although a picture did turn up later. There was a guy who basically spent decades looking for it. The picture turned up, and one person, or I guess a couple of people, have said that in 2016 that this might have been a Georgian boy who was visiting France with his family, named Georgi Nicolades, who had been in Europe, had been in Paris at the time of this event, and that apparently his sister had told an interviewer in the 80s that he had won a boat race in France at the same time period. But there's never been anything other than just speculation, and I guess a picture they dug up where you can clearly see this Georgie is several years older. It's like, there's a slight resemblance. That's crazy that there may be one Olympic medalist who is the youngest Olympian of all time who has never been identified.
Because I read that he basically was plucked out of the crowd to help this boat. And then he basically just jumped straight back in and buggered off with his parents. Because I think what had happened is they had the coxswain in the boats, and other boats had been using children, but the Dutch hadn't. So the Dutch were like, this could help us. So they were just like, you, kid, jump in. And then they won the gold by not much. And then he goes away, and there's, like a photo was taken. So, yeah, I mean, just insane to think that, as you say, Colin, like the youngest medalist in the history of the Olympics could have been as young as 7 years old, and nobody knows who this kid is, except the sister who claims it was her brother. So,
and the funny thing is, it's not even a sister who claims. I mean, there's a guy who just dug up an interview saying, "Oh yeah, my brother once participated in a boat race, and he's digging this up 20 years later."
Jamie, how if your child, one of your children is 4, so they will be 7 in LA. Can you just throw them in a boat like at the rowing, or just
literally 2 blocks from here, the UCLA and USC have their boathouses.
There you go.
Yeah, he's gonna get raised on it.
Put him in the boat already. Just hide him underneath. Feed him. Like every now and then, give him some food.
Maybe.
Just every once in a while.
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't want him to get too heavy. That's the whole point, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, well, starve a little shit, whatever. But then like make sure that like he's got some water or something to keep him alive. At least air would help.
It's the LA rivers coming right there. That's refreshing.
But
so
if we're talking about weight, I mean, isn't mittens the best option for somebody from this show to win an Olympic medal?
Yeah, but she's going to be too old. She's already like 10, which is like 50 in human years.
What does she have to do? She has to do exactly what she's doing right now.
Yeah, well.
And just make sure that she keeps the weight
cats
down.
don't do what you want them to do. Cats do
the most well-behaved she's been all day.
And they love water.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Look, I'll pour some on her right now, and you can see what she does.
Just abusing animals on here. That's why we switched to doing these on YouTube, just so we could prove that there's no abuse going on.
Yeah. Back in the day.
Proof of life.
Oh, back in the Wild West off the podium days of 10 years ago. Oh, the abuse.
Professional fencers competed, and Albert Robert Ayotte was awarded, cover your ears, Avery Brundage. Albert Robert Ayotte was awarded 3,000 francs for his 2 victories because if I read it right, he won the amateur epi contest and the professional epi contest.
Wow!
So the wheels were off the wagon in Paris.
Well, because like there's again speculation of like the medals. Like there were sort of medals, but there weren't. For the most part, athletes were given prizes for specific sports. Like I read the Australian athletes got a mixture of sculptures. They got clocks. They got women's purses, knives. And
women's purses.
Why not? And then I even read somewhere that I think the horses in the equestrian got more money than the athletes. So the French love their horses to the point that they have some more money. You know, Mr. Ed, Mrs. Ed, the Ed family.
What did the pigeons get?
They were dead. Ooh. They were getting shot. They were put out of their misery. I think the pigeon racing.
The good ones got to live.
Yeah, the losers got to win.
Yeah. The only reason they won is because they crossed the line. Everyone else was getting shot at by the Australian shooter who got his medals taken away.
A lot of events were added. We'll get to that in just a second. But wrestling and weightlifting were dropped from the 1896 program.
Yeah.
Weightlifting.
That's a shame.
Our star of the last Olympics didn't even have a chance to repeat here.
Maybe he would have come back.
The bulgy's got to feel a little bit less weighted this time around, isn't it? Oh, poor Mr. Launceston.
The number of events, there were 95. Again, whatever. How do we know that? Up from 43. New events included archery, basque pelota, cricket, croquet, equestrian, football, golf, polo, rowing, rugby union, sailing, tug of war, and water polo. Which each one of you can pick one of those events that is not in the Olympics now or going to be to bring back. What would you bring back?
If we don't all say tug of war, then I'm done with this podcast. Like, I mean, tug of war is the obvious answer because cricket's coming back. Basque pelota, it's in the pan, whatever. But no, it's 100% gotta be tug of war.
At the same time, we went through 2 weeks of covering the Pan Am Games, and none of us were able to find any Basque pelota. I still want to see this. I want to know it exists and that it's real.
But of all these sports, like it's only polo, Basque pelota, and tug of war. Well,
I guess you're right.
That have never been brought back in some capacity, right?
Like interestingly. Like tug of war, there was a pitch to have it. I can't remember. I think it was like after Rio or something like that, or maybe it was before Rio. They actually were seriously looking into bringing it back. And at that point, it was going to be like, this is your all-star event. Because I actually found some info where for tug of war, the idea was that you could pick any athletes from any sports. So it would be a combination. And that countries actually started, and maybe this was around the time of Rio, they actually started putting together the preliminary tug of war teams. The U.S. team actually had already recruited Hope Solo and Katie Ledecky.
Wow. To
be on the same tug of war team. Could this potentially have been in the Olympics? So that would be very interesting to bring back. And we could potentially be seeing, Noah Lyles on a team with Simone Biles. Lyles and Biles on the same team in a tug of war.
My crowning achievement as an athlete came in tug of war because I remember in year 6, my last year of primary school at athletics, they introduced tug of war. Like this was like, wow, 1900 all over again. Here we go. I made it to the final and I lost. I got second, but they then choose the inter-school team. And I was a little fat kid. I was never going to make an inter-school team. Like, the best of the best go off and represent your school at, like, the Southern Carnival in Tasmania. And because I got second in the tug of war, we fielded like a team of like 5 because it was a team in there. And I got to make the inter-school team. And we won the inter-school. We were the best school of tug of war in the southern part of Tasmania for 1999. That was like the one time I achieved something in my entire career. So who knows? This become an Olympic sport. I could have been tug of war champion. I missed my calling.
Did you get like a ribbon or just a woman's purse?
No, I didn't get the purse, sadly. But I wish I had gotten a sculpture. But, who knows? I could be sitting here as a multiple Olympic champion and I could have beaten Lyles and Biles.
Lyles and Biles.
Yeah.
Lyles and Biles.
Bloody hell, ISC.
Exhibition sports. If you weren't given a list and you were like, write down 5 exhibition sports, I don't think anyone would have ever guessed any of these. Bulls,
so good.
Boule,
yeah, bulls,
motorcycle, balloon, motorboat racing. All of those, not all at once. Those are different exhibition events.
Yeah, motorboating, that'd be fun.
I didn't have pigeon shooting, but that was legitimately. Shooting live birds was still like part of the shooting event.
But that was in shooting. So shooting didn't have like
right.
fake targets. This is the only Olympics they used real like animals. Like in birds. They didn't shoot mittens, but that'd be
but they also exhibition event, they also raced pigeons.
Yeah. Yep.
And there was a firefighting competition. What am I missing? I have to be missing some.
Fishing, ballooning,
angling.
The fishing competition was open to everyone, so like we could have all been Olympians. And apparently a burst sewage pipe happened like 2 days before, and it screwed it up. How unusual of the Sen to be complaining about sewerage. We've never heard that before. And the ballooning. Did you read about the winners of the ballooning? That they ended up in the Ukraine, basically. So the person who got third, or the people who got third, like ended up just in some suburb of Paris. The people who got second made it to Poland. And then the winners and as I watched this video, they're like, well, how do they prove that? Like, it's not like you just get in the phone and go, hey, everyone, we're in the Ukraine. He's Zelensky. He was around in 1900. Putin's looking in. Here we are. But like, how do you prove that? You rock up after 5 months? Is that why it went for 5 months? Oh, we're just going to wait for the balloonists to get back to see who won. But I mean, imagine that. Imagine having to win it and going that far away. It's amazing. I want to see ballooning back.
Oof, I don't know.
How does firefighting work? Do you just have to burn buildings down? Oh, we light this building on fire, put it out.
No, I mean, like it's like doing like the freaking Spartan race or something. I'm sure you have to carry that with all the little boys that were in the rowing that had to go get rescued from burning buildings.
But this is the beauty of it. Like, again, probably jumping in, because I have to talk about this separately with our Australian athlete, because he won a gold medal in this. I mean, some of the events where we had like obstacle swimming courses. Like, these are things we should be still having to this day. I mean, I'm for firefighting. Well, the women would go crazy for fire. But women love firefighters. Like, come on. Like, imagine that. Like, the rigs on those guys and girls too. I'm not being sexist. But
there's the what is it? The water plunge is the really interesting one.
Yeah, because
that's basically like do a cannonball and how deep can you go? Which the criticism of that one ended up being that there was clearly no athleticism that was required, and that the more out of shape and the heavier you were, the better chance you had at winning.
But that was like Did you read about the underwater?
That was the criticism. There was only one criticism of that. I feel like I could come up with a few more.
The underwater swimming that basically came down to the fact that it was a combination of how far you could go and how long you could stay under. So the guy who wins the gold basically swam the same distance as the guy who got second. But because he was slower, because he was underwater for longer, he won the gold. But the guy in third actually was underwater the longest, but he didn't get the memo that you had to swim in a straight line. He swam in circles. He swam in circles, thinking that, I'm underwater for like 10 minutes, I'm going to win. But no, because he didn't swim far. Like, I want underwater swimming back at the Olympics.
Yeah. Some of these, they should just do like the, the unofficial Olympics. Just do an offshoot
the World
where
Games.
You have the craziest events you could think about in a non-Olympic year and generate interest. And then we don't have to worry about sitting through, things like skateboarding or breaking and stuff like that. You test out these more obscure, sillier sports in their own games. And then when it really takes off, you pick it up. And maybe we'll get lucky enough and we'll get underwater swimming, or we'll get tug of war, or we'll get I'm not going to say pigeon shooting. That's I think this was the only time that pigeon shooting was done. Probably the last time pigeons died up until Seoul, Korea. But that was a different story. But whoosh, that's the sound it made. Yes. Wow. But yeah, like do something to try these, because these sound way too fun. And I would watch this. Even if it was like you're watching bad reality TV sometimes, sometimes you just want to watch something really dumb. Sometimes you don't want to watch a really bad comedy or a really bad horror movie. I want to watch a really bad Olympics. Come on, give me some of these.
Well, I would go out on a limb and say, clearly with the pigeon shooting, about a year later in the US, they tried to replace that with president shooting, and it obviously didn't take off. And then fast forward to 2024, and we also nearly got that as well. But some people might want to bring that one back. But I'm getting arrested by the CIA tomorrow, clearly, so it's fine. I can say it.
I don't think that was an overt threat.
Seriously, if you think I'm a threat to shoot the president of the United States, then seriously, there's something wrong in this world, all right?
Now they'll come pick you up and you get a free trip to Washington, D.C. I heard it's lovely these days.
Maybe that's the way I can actually stay in the country for longer than 6 months. Just get detained.
If you fly, you gotta ask,
in
can I get one of those?
I'm a foreigner.
Can I get one?
Where's ice? Come after me, ice. Detain me.
The presidential pens that like Judd Hirsch got in Independence Day. You can pick up one of those
that they give away. Dad, what? Hey, I bought. I think I sent that picture there to you when I did my White House tour. I sent you a photograph. Like, I got one of those pens that they give away. We're getting sidetracked, Jamie. Sorry.
No, that's fine. I got a good factoid here. I don't want to forget. There were as many exhibition events as there are actually some that were planned but canceled, including field hockey and lacrosse in Jeux de Paume.
Oh, the esteemed.
Known as real tennis.
Oh, real tennis.
Interestingly, it boasts the oldest ongoing world championships of any sport in the world at over 250 years.
I know about real tennis because there's actually, I think, in Hobart, where I grew up, we had a real tennis facility. And I think, don't quote me, this might be the only one in Australia, but we had like a significant championship, and they would always say that, the continuous one. So it's tennis, but different. Like,
is there a racket?
There is.
So it's pickleball.
It's basically, how many racket sports do we really need? But it's kind of like, what Donald Trump is the president. It's kind of like a president, but it's not like the one that we like to. I don't know why I'm making so many Donald Trump jokes, but hey, it's not like I've got a Trump voter on the show, so I mean, I can get away with it.
It's similar to like as a credible Olympic podcast. Like we're kind of one, we're just not all the way there.
If you've made it this deep into the podcast going, when do they get good? You want keep the flame alive, all right? Keep the flame alive, okay?
Sorry. Just gonna have to.
This is what I mean. We can't even get on track, right? The American, like,
it's my rookie. If
you want Americans who know how to host a podcast, I'm being mean, Jamie. It's fine. It's all right.
That's fine.
I'm the asshole of the podcast.
I don't think there were any posters that said Olympics. They do show one. I found one online, but again, it's the expo. No logo. Anybody got any mascots?
Are AI ones?
Yeah. So what's interesting with like months ago when we were planning this, I just like went to town and did like the first like 20 just all in one go. But then when I was doing some stuff on getting ChatGPT to point me in a few directions of this kind of things, that actually ChatGPT just was forward thinking. They said to me, "Would you like me to craft a mascot for these games?" I'm like, "Oh, thank you, ChatGPT." And I've got to say, their second one that they gave me was better than the first one. I can give you the two that they gave me. One's got a background. I can give you a story of one, but the other one I think is better. But I'm not confident because Jamie's was so good the last Olympics that I feel like he might win again. So I don't know who wants to go first with their mascot.
It's only going to work. God bless it.
What?
Yeah, go ahead. I have one. I just have to send it to myself so I can see it.
I think I can have one ready here. I downloaded it, but now I'm having trouble finding.
Well, I've got mine. If you guys are fucking around, let's hold mine up first.
All right, Ben.
Here's
okay.
A Claire the stylish rooster is the first that they gave me. Which look, I mean, he's literally holding like a fob watch. Got a beret, and he's very French. But the second one that they gave me, I like better. I can't actually remember what they called it, but it's a gymnast. It's like a mime gymnast. Let's call it Pierre because it's French. So
yeah, that definitely looks like a terrifying French mime.
Yeah, so they're the two. But I mean, it's either a big cock. Let's be honest, we're all thinking of it, or a French mime gymnast. I choose the gymnast over that, but you two have probably got better ones.
So I'll go next. I actually, I specifically wanted to try something a little different when asking for it because I was afraid I got it. And actually that rooster of yours, I think was one of the ones that suggested me. So I wanted to incorporate something that was very distinctly 1900 Paris into mine, which was the tug of war. So I asked it, design a logo for the tug of war of the Paris 1900 Olympics featuring the tug of war. And what I ended up with was Tracton the elephant.
That's amazing. Yeah, better than mine.
And bit of a write up here on Tracton the elephant. The elephant symbolizes strength, teamwork, and endurance, perfect for tug of war. In 1900 Paris, exotic animals were also part of the fascination of World's Fairs, and the Olympics were held during the World's Fair. So it would fit the cultural moment. Also, his personality is friendly, dependable, and a bit humorous, showing that the Olympics are about fun as well as competition. I like Tracton.
Tracton's good.
I think that
hold up Tracton again. Jamie, did you see Tracton?
I got it.
Yeah, no, I got him.
Tracton.
Oh, there
Tracton,
he is.
the tug of war elephant.
Look at him.
That's
go.
amazing. Yeah, I'm embarrassed to share mine, but I already did in the app. But I also was like Paris 1900. What else was going on? But it was the kind of the height of Art Nouveau and specifically Toulouse-Lautrec.
The fuck is
so
that?
I have Toulouse-Lautrec. Did you ever see the Moulin Rouge?
I did, yes. Yeah, okay.
That's John Leguizamo, the little short guy.
Okay, right, yep.
Yeah,
okay.
So this is Tulu, my Toulouse-Lautrec inspired Olympic mascot.
He looks like a guy who used to serve me a bagel when I was in New York.
I don't know if either of you are familiar with Tintin, but it basically looks like ChatGPT combined the Thompsons with Captain Haddock. Yeah. That's what it looks like to me.
I was on board with your triple-headed dog all of a sudden again, Jamie. I think it's the elephant or the mime gymnast. I think the elephant. Do we think the wins?
I think it looks the most like it. And we want something that's going to get stuck in a door.
Yeah.
So Tracton fits that.
Yes. So Tracton, I'm going to write this down. Tracton.
Tracton.
Tracton. Tracton. Yeah. All right. You need to send me that picture, and we will share Tracton, the tug of war elephant, goes alongside with Serby, the three-headed hellhound. All right. Okay. I like this. This is fun.
All right. Moving on.
Yes.
The three big stories.
You
go first.
You want me to go?
You go first, Ben.
I think, look, women at the Olympics, I don't think we briefly mentioned it before, but that's the one for me. That's the big one. I mean, Sydney did the big, part of the reason why Kathy lit the cauldron, and we had celebrated all our female Olympians because they made a big deal in 2000 of celebrating this is a centenary of women at the Olympics. So be it 22, 11, 2, whatever it is, the fact that women were allowed in the Olympics for the first time. Again, technically they didn't know they were Olympians, but it's a big deal. The first ever Olympic champion, we should mention, is Charlotte Cooper, a British tennis player. And again, varying reports of sports they were allowed to compete in, but I have here that they were in lawn tennis, croquet, golf, equestrian, sailing, and ballooning. So that is the sport. So the other ones I've got here, obviously the World's Fair kind of overshadowing the Olympics was a pretty big deal, and still is to this day. And for the second one in a row, a marathon caused controversy. It might be the last. I think we're having 3 in a row. But lots of controversy around the marathon. There was traffic getting in the way. It was poorly marked. And to this day, if you speak to somebody from Luxembourg, you will get a very angry reaction when you talk to them about Mikel Taito, the winner of the marathon, who is supposedly from Luxembourg. They were living in France. The gold medal is credited to France, and even the IOC have staunchly said, nope, he's French. but the Luxembourgians, I don't know what you call somebody from Luxembourg, but they are adamant that Mikel is from their country. So marathon's always causing controversy at this point. So they're my three.
Yeah, there'll be more to come on the marathon later on. I completely agree just about female Olympians in general, because no matter what you try to dig up on history of the 1900 Olympics, that is the main talking point of like, hey, it wasn't all bad. This was something. I think, unfortunately, narrowing those down, I mean, other than Charlotte Cooper, narrowing that down to, what were the big stories? It's near impossible because I mentioned that lowest attended event ever. The women's croquet had a record low one person in attendance, a single paying person who actually came all the way from England to Paris to watch this event.
But these are all French. All the croquet people were French. And not even the French people showed up to watch their own people.
Exactly.
Wow.
That is literally the lowest, to this day, the lowest attended event in Olympic history, which would include Tokyo, because Tokyo, you at least had, athletes who were able to be there and stuff like that. And we had virtual presence. So one person witnessed. Those results may not even be accurate as far as we know for the women's croquet. One guy was there. We couldn't track him. He was also a child and 7 years old. That's what we should also mention.
And in all fairness, if you ever watched croquet,
he took a wrong turn.
He
did, yeah.
He was supposed to go to the firefighting. Yeah.
He wanted the marathon.
He wanted to sit in the croquet pegs, basically. Tracks of croquet. Have you ever watched croquet? That is a boring sport to watch.
I remember playing it as a kid.
Played on the Wii. The Wii game was fun.
Wii croquet.
There was like how you had Wii Sports. There was like a tropical beach one, and there was like beach croquet. And I remember Louise and I at the time used to play. That was kind of fun, but I mean croquet. God, I'm not that rich to play that sport yet.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's very hard to narrow down any prestige stories from these Olympics. So I do agree that the female athletes is an important one. I think the dominance of who's this guy? This will be for the athletes, but I think you could really include him in there. Was it Cranesline? Alvin Cranesline, yeah. He's maybe the one real athletes that comes out of these games as like this is a legend of the 1900 Olympics. And then I kind of like what you said about the marathon, but I kind of want to go with the tug of war because when people talk about the 1900 Olympics, like the tug of war comes up. That is a thing of intense fascination for people. And I think it perfectly sums up the complete chaoticness of these games, that there were like, what was it? The American team had to pull out because half of their team was involved in the hammer throw at the exact same time.
Hammer, yeah.
But it gets better, because the two stories I love from the tug of war is the fact that the winning team was a combined team of Denmark and Sweden, who basically both rocked up, didn't have enough people, so they're like, hey, Sven, do you want to combine? We will win. But the Americans, I think, got disqualified because there were people who walked past and didn't realize that this was like a proper event. So a bunch of Americans are like, oh, we'll help you out. So they jumped in and helped the Americans. Like, just imagine that, walking past an Olympic sport. Oh, no, Lyles needs help. I'll run faster with him. Yeah. Like, it's just, and that led to them, I believe, getting disqualified. So just the batch, and tug of war was in the Olympics. This wasn't the one and done. This isn't cricket that we're not seeing again to 2028. This isn't croquet. Tug of war was in the Olympics for, I think, the next like 24 years. So like, it obviously was still a very popular sport back then. So bring it back. Bring back tug of war.
Absolutely. Yeah. The most surprising thing about that is that people walked by Americans in Europe and wanted to help them. That's the most shocking part of that story.
Not just me bagged out the Americans. The Americans are bagging out the Americans.
No, it's kind of like nobody punches my little brother except me. That's what it is.
I wouldn't punch an American. They'd just shoot me.
I think that, I mean, with this, the main story of this is what we've been talking about the whole time, is that it was just absolute disarray.
Yeah.
Shit show. Great factoid. I found there were 12 cycling competitions that were part of the Expo, but not the Olympics. So there was more cycling involved. I don't think there's 12 events in cycling back then. Can't be.
There's barely 12 events in cycling today. I mean, if we're talking about track at least. You're right.
And so, I concur with both of you that the arrival of women at the Olympics was the main story. Not to be annoying fact check guy, but I feel like they're going to come for us in the comments. I believe Charlotte Cooper was the first individual.
Okay.
Yeah,
Because an American-born woman named Helene de Portales became the first female Olympic champion as part of a Swiss sailing team,
right,
with her husband and her nephew.
Wait,
yeah.
hey, were they two different people, or was her husband her nephew?
Two people.
That's
two people.
Okay, right, okay.
Two different people.
As a
Sorry.
Tasmanian, we go somewhere different with that, so I just had to check.
I have another bit about a woman athlete, but I'm going to save it for my story you may not know.
Okay.
So moving on to the three big stars. You want to kick it off, Colin?
Yeah, I mean, I already mentioned one of them, Crane's Line. In athletics, four gold medals in athletics in a single games, I believe still has not been surpassed 125 years later. Am I right?
Individual. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's no relays in this. I mean, this is 4 individual medals. I mean, that to me, that stands out way above everybody else. I'll throw Charlotte Cooper in there as well. I think what detracts from Charlotte Cooper being a star of these Olympics is the fact that, from everything I could tell, she was a massive star even before this. And this is where maybe having tennis didn't necessarily have the same prestige in the Olympics, because she was a 3-time winner of Wimbledon already by the time she went to the Olympics. Was probably an afterthought for her. I mean, she might have been one of those people who's like, I won Olympics, 30 years later. But obviously completely dominant in her sport even before these games. And I hate to throw another American there, but I just want to throw an honorable mention to Ray Urey for the amount of all-time records that he set during these games. But actually, my main third one, just to throw a French athlete in there, is going to be Nicolas Achille Peroche, who is a shooter. And the unfortunate thing is Paris, in Paris, the French athletes won so many medals that you really don't see these same standout stars. It's just like everybody won 1 gold, or everybody won here a gold and a silver. But the one who stands out is Nicolas Peroche, who won 1 gold, 2 silvers, and 1 bronze in shooting. And the thing that I guess for his legacy that makes it more interesting is that following these games, 20 years later, he would compete again in Antwerp, and he would win another silver medal. During Ben's games, this guy made the comeback of his life, which I just think is a cool story, that this guy was the most dominant. He was he was why am I forgetting? He was the Leon Marchand of these Paris games, and then basically disappeared and came back 20 years later and had his silver medal, his big comeback victory.
And you do it in Antwerp, of course, of all places. I'm glad you mentioned Ray. Is it Uri? Like, I don't know. You're the American.
I think it's Ray Urey.
Uri.
I think it's Urey, but
he's important to mention because he basically, for a very long time in Olympic history, was the most successful athlete in terms of gold medals. He won 8 gold medals in his entire career. 10 technically if you count the intercalated. He won 2 gold in 1906 as well. So some historians classify him as a 10-time Olympic gold medalist. So he basically, the 10 Olympic events he went in his life, he won them. Like, he's 10 from 10. So he won the 3 standing jump disciplines, and apparently had polio as a child that he overcame. And he went on to become a 8 or a 10-time Olympic gold medalist, depending on how you classify 1906. So that's pretty crazy to have that one there as well. I mean, we'll talk about these two a little bit in the top 5 medal winners overall, but just speaking of non-Americans, non-French, 2 other standard athletes in terms of just like medals won. Conrad Starley of Switzerland won 3 gold and a bronze in shooting. And then in archery, which fascinating with archery, because archery is one of these sports I always thought, like, once it started in like 1900, it had been in every Olympic since. It disappeared, came back again in like, I think the 20s or the 30s, disappeared again, and then didn't come back to Munich in 1972. I didn't realize that archery actually had such a big gap. It's one of these like real traditional ones. But Belgian archer by the name of Hubert van Innes. Anybody with the name of Hubert deserves a mention, but he won 2 gold and 2 silver in archery. So precursing the dominance of Korea all these years later that we see today, the Belgians were good archers in 1900. So, Hubert. I love that name. Great name.
I had Charlotte Cooper as well. I also had John Arthur Jarvis, who won the 1,000-meter and 4,000-meter swimming events. and then went down the river a little bit and won a gold medal for Great Britain in water polo.
As you do.
He would come back to the intercalated games and win a silver and 2 bronzes. And then last I had, of course, Mr. Kranzlen. In addition to what Colin said, he also is credited with introducing straight leg hurdling to the sport. So before him, you didn't kind of stride over the hurdle. You like almost went up, jumped over it and kept running, and then jumped over it, almost more like steeplechasers. And then great little note about him. So one of the issues the American team had with the organization of the Paris Games was that there were events on Sundays, and generally a lot of the athletes that were going were coming from colleges and institutions, mostly in the Northeast, that had political affiliations, whether they were Quakers at the University of Pennsylvania or, Catholic at Columbia, and they weren't supposed to compete on Sunday. Now, why they took 167 days to have the Olympics and they couldn't take Sunday off, I don't know. But Kranzlen was going for his 4th medal in the long jump. And his bane rival in college was a guy named Meyer Prinstein from Syracuse University. And apparently they had a informal gentleman's agreement to not compete in the final because it was on Sunday. But Kranzlen decided to compete anyway. And apparently when Prinstein showed up, legend has it, he showed up at the event, became violent, and punched Kranzlen in the face. Some people claim that he just was restrained before he could punch them. But Americans were violent even back then.
But did I also read on that, though, that long jump, like the qualifying results were classified. So I read that Kranzlen won his silver based off his jump in the qualifying rounds counting. So I
believe that's true, and I think he would have won gold if Kranzlen didn't jump further. So, I think he was leading going in, and then he got. But
that was fascinating to think that, like the preliminary jumps, like he, but not showing up to the final, he still won a silver medal. Like,
this is similar. There's another American athlete I had a note on here, Robert Garrett, which I just thought was interesting because he would go on to become an archaeologist. I'm like, oh, he was Indiana Jones, but he was a very similar situation in the shot put, where he ended up winning bronze, but he refused to compete because the final was on a Sunday, but still ended up winning the bronze just because his qualifying mark was so good. So there's a lot of people who are no-showing and winning medals during these Olympics, or cups or purses or whatever.
Can I just also backtrack a little bit too? I've been reading a bit more on my man Hubert van Innes. It's similar to what you were saying, Colin, with your athlete who came back in Antwerp to win more medals. And not only did Hubert win his 2 gold and his 2 silver, he did return also in Antwerp, where he went on to win 4 more gold medals, if you don't mind. So he ended up winning a total of 6 Olympic gold medals. But I love the fact that in 1920, in the individual moving bird, 28 meters archery that he won gold in, only 2 archers competed. So he won gold, beating the French archer Léonce Quinten. So basically, you show up, you're going to win an Olympic medal. That's a dream for all of us, isn't it? Bring in Olympic podcasting, we might actually win an Olympic medal. But credible. And his full name, by the way, is Gerardus Theodorus Hubertus van Innes. There's a name. That's the name of the day.
The competing on Sunday thing, just to circle back to that for a minute, is I feel like it's come up sporadically through the history of the games.
Chariots of Fire.
Well, again in Paris, 24 years later, like why are we still competing on Sunday? Like and why was it English and American athletes that had a problem with it? Obviously, France is a Catholic nation. There's, cathedrals on every corner dating back to the 12th century or whatever. So I think it's interesting. And then I think also Jonathan Edwards, who I believe is still the world record holder in the triple jump. And this is like Barcelona or Atlanta. Like he set the world record. I think it was Atlanta. He set the world record at the World Championships the previous year. And then I believe he didn't compete. Like he wouldn't compete on Sunday. Oh, so still going on years later. But I mean, then I guess other people hold Saturday sacred. So
I mean, I just, my biggest thing is I just get pissed off when I'm in the US and I can't get Chick-fil-A on a Sunday, and it's the one day I always crave it. So,
I mean, but is the modern equivalent to this though? oh, that doesn't coincide with our network prime time schedule. So let's move the event to this date and this time.
That's funny. Yeah.
Wow. How we've changed as a society.
Ben, who do you have for underdog story?
Who do I have for underdog story, Jamie Lyko? That is a great question, and I'm going to give you my answer as Constantine Henrique, a Haitian-born rugby player, helped France win the rugby gold. Now, we talked about Haiti making their debut, so this is, I think, one of those contentious ones as well of like, you know, who's he representing, but obviously he's on a rugby team. But he also apparently is the first known black athlete to compete at the Olympic Games. So, I mean, circle back to the fact that women were allowed to compete at Olympic Games in 1900. Like, I mean, that's pretty groundbreaking, the fact that, you know, we lived in a time back then when they barely had rights. I mean, were they allowed to vote in 1900? I don't think suffrage came in till the early 1900s, didn't it? So I feel at that level, but I feel that non-white people were treated even worse in 1900. So the fact that he was part of that squad, a very big deal, but basically makes him the first black athlete to win a gold medal as well on that level, if that is a correct stat. And he apparently introduced the sport of football to his country in Haiti in 1904, scored the first ever goal for his country. So he's a pretty big deal back in his homeland, but will always be an Olympic gold medalist in Paris and as a French athlete, sadly, but I'm sure Haiti claim him as a hero of theirs. And the other one here, I don't know if we talked about him in Athens, but Viggo Jensen, who won a couple of medals back in Athens in a couple of different sports. He won in the two-handler. So he's friends with Launceston Elliott. So I believe we might have talked about him because he won gold in the two-hand lift, a silver in the one-hand lift, and a bronze in the shooting in Athens. But he competed in Paris in shooting, gymnastics, athletics, and, well, it says weightlifting. That's not true because weightlifting obviously didn't exist in those ones. So I think I got that fact wrong. But still, 3 different events. Not bad for old Vigo there. So there's a couple of underdog ones going on my way there because I like multiple sport athletes.
I don't want to steal
I have a feeling
Ben's.
I'm going to know what yours is because I'm guessing it might be mine as well. So I'll let you go first.
Actually, I don't think, because I think I might be stealing Ben's thunder here when talking about Australia, because this is...
You're talking about my shooter man that I haven't talked to yet?
Well, are you familiar with Stan Rowley?
I do, because we only had like 3 athletes in the Olympics. So
so it's not what Stan Rowley accomplished by winning a gold and 3 bronzes throughout the course of these games.
2 different countries.
It was specifically the gold medal that he won, which the story behind it is crazy because he had already competed in all his short distance sprinting events, but the British team was short a man for the 5,000 meter race.
Yep.
And he is not a long distance runner, but they're like, based on our points, we only need somebody to cross the finish line. And apparently the story was he basically, after not long, just started walking because he was so tired. And they didn't even wait for him to cross the finish line. They basically said, all right, we're just going to mark you as last place because they got tired of waiting for him. But I visualize a cool running thing.
How Australian.
You go, Stan, you go.
But Dad opening the T-shirt with Team Britain on his shirt.
He accomplishes great feat, 3 bronze medals, right? But it's 3 bronze medals. And then you can still walk away from this with a gold by literally walking to the finish line on not even walking the finish line, basically being told, all right, we're tired of waiting for you. We're going to give you a gold medal here just to get out of here.
Wow.
It was getting dark.
Exactly.
He's still
we didn't
walking.
want this to be picked up tomorrow.
He's still walking right now if you go to the venue. There he is.
Well, if you're stealing Ben's thunder, I'm stealing yours with George Orton, who always was like first Canadian, but apparently the United States gets credit for the medal.
Yeah, because we didn't have an organizing committee, so it'll be the same in St. Louis. I don't think it's until we get to 1908, there's no official Canadian organization, so they had to compete as other countries. But yeah, great story. Go for it.
I mean, I obviously I'm going to go to anybody in the steeplechase when I can, but this guy won 131 races in his career, 33 national and international championships, Also started the first hockey team in Philadelphia and is known as the father of Philadelphia hockey.
No,
but
God, screw him.
Orton was paralyzed when he fell out of a tree at age 3. The fall caused a blood clot on his brain and severely damaged his right arm. He was later diagnosed with spinal meningitis. He could not walk until the age of 10 and only gained full mobility at age 12. So at age 12, he's barely able to like walk or run. 5 to 6 years later, he's in college competing on University of Pennsylvania's hockey team, and that puts him. So he was
27.
27. Okay, yeah. So yeah, I was. Yeah,
but
so
like
27.
Sprinting didn't like steeplechase sprinting, whatever. None of this wasn't even his original sport. He was a hockey guy who they decided, oh, would you like to try sprinting? Sure, why not? And then he goes on, I think, to set the all-time record like, as far as U.S. national track meets. He had so many records. Actually, the thing that I found most interesting about these games is that he had his bronze medal that he won in the 400-meter hurdles, and then only 45 minutes later, he would come away with his steeplechase gold. But he was suffering from an intestinal virus at this point, which is what he credited his bronze medal for. Oh, I wasn't good enough because I was crapping my guts out. And then it's 45 minutes later, I can win a gold in steeplechase. Why not?
I have nothing else to add. But he also competed in the 4,000 meter steeplechase. So it took us a while to figure out exactly how long we were going to make the steeplechase.
I do love the distances when you see, like, you know, we had the 100 meter, the 200, and the 60 meter.
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, 60 meters thing, because like Casper, he's done track events, and I think they're still running 60 meters as one of the first ones, and then they'll do 100 and 200. So he's ran 60 meter races even at his age.
Isn't the 60 meter a distance in the indoor world championships?
Yeah,
still?
that's the standard distance for indoors.
Interesting.
All right. Let's stories you may not know. Oh no, biggest controversy. I mean, I don't know. I say I'm with Ben. I think it's the marathon, but it sounds like you guys had other stuff to add to the marathon. I think we've covered it.
I mean, it's the marathon, but I think like we've already touched on like, you know, these athletes didn't know they were Olympians. Like it was just such a kerfuffle of like, you know, crap that, you know, it was so unorganized, and it just, you know, it's always going to be tricky when you talk about Paris and St. Louis around as Olympics because of just all of this. So I think that's a controversy in itself. And again, the fact that these many athletes died not knowing that they were an Olympic champion. Like, just like that's just ridiculous in hindsight to think about that. And it's all well and good now to sit here 125 years later and celebrate these as the second ever Olympics. Fantastic. But like, imagine if we're all sitting here right now, we're Olympic champions and saying we don't know. Like,
I'm just going to assume it gets announced after I die.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That massive dump you did that day as an 18-year-old. That was in the International Shitting Olympics. Like, you know, like it's, yeah.
Just only one other thing to add on the marathon, because the only other Canadian, it was still not representing Canada in these Olympics, was Ronald J. McDonald, not to be confused with the other Ronald McDonald.
Actually, that
J was added. That J was added sometimes in the 60s, just because
posthumously,
they didn't want their grandfather confused with that.
Wow,
but
he's loving it.
Coming into this marathon, he had just won the second ever Boston Marathon. He was considered one of the top marathon runners in the world. And he ended up finishing 7th, but he was actually him and another athlete who made the claims that not just the medalist, but that apparently 5 out of the top 7 had all cut the course, and that the evidence was that none of them had any mud on them. And you can look up the picture and you can see the ones crossing the finish line. It's like, you're pretty pristine looking for having run a marathon. Just to add to this, the marathon that day had started at 2:30 in the afternoon when it was 39 degrees. I don't know any marathon that, even on the hottest marathon I ever ran in, I think it was 26, 27 degrees at 7 in the morning. So
Jamie's so confused, I was dying right now.
We'll
convert for you in a moment. Don't worry. The 39 is not like
39 degrees sounds like perfect running
it's
weather.
Like 99.
Beautiful, yes.
Is that 99 Fahrenheit off the top of my head? Yeah.
Wow. 39, yeah, we probably closing on 100. Yeah. So, I mean, the Tokyo Marathon has nothing on this. And why they decide to start at 2:30 in the afternoon. But yeah, people crossing the finish line looking like they hadn't even ran a marathon. I mean, a little bit suspicious, but I'd also like to see the picture of the guys who are caked in mud, like Ronald J. McDonald.
Secret sauce. Was big.
All right, stories you may not know. What do you got, Colin?
I know Ben had made a note of this as well. I mean, my one big one was the one person attendance, but just add to the cricket, there are only 2 teams competing, and how if you actually look at the lineups, there are only 4 French players on the French team, because the rest of it were British expats who were living in Paris at the time. But 2 teams played a 1 cricket match ever in the Olympics. This is the doom sport, apparently. Canceled in 1896, played here. But 4 out of what is the full count on how many players play in cricket?
Well, there's even contentious around this because you meant to have 11 on when you're fielding at least, but they apparently had 12. So there was even like extra players when they shouldn't have had players. So yeah.
Yeah, so I think there's 13 players listed on the British team.
They call it the 12th man when you got 11.
Yeah.
So
and then we got 11, and 7 of them here are British on the French team. So there's probably a reason that no countries could get anybody to play this. So I mean, I think cricket's definitely in a bigger position now, headed into Los Angeles. But yeah, this really has been the doom sport from the beginning.
Apparently went for 2 days, which I mean, by all standards of traditional cricket, is actually a short match. But as I said before, held in the middle of the velodrome, apparently. And, you laugh and think, well, a French team is mainly British people. I guarantee you in LA in 2028 that Team USA is going to be mainly people made from the subcontinent. Because I've seen the team that they fielded at the World Cup 2020 the other year when the USA famously beat Pakistan, a great cricketing nation. And the majority of them were from the subcontinent, and they had just become American citizens. So a similar thing will be probably seen.
Was it that, or was it are they like from I don't know, like the West Indies or some British Virgin Islands, something like that? I mean,
majorly, because I know when I was living in Canada and I did some stories on cricket, it was mainly like Indian and Pakistani expats. Because I mean,
okay,
it's based
because I know it's huge, obviously, in the former British colonies that are now American. It's subsidiaries.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Like Australia, you'd classify us as the biggest cricketing nation on the planet in terms of it's our national sport. But if there's one country that eclipses us, it's India. It's cricket to India is what hockey is to Canada. It's what baseball is to America. Like it's ingrained so much in them, and I would argue even more so than Australia does it, because a lot of people in Australia probably don't really give a shit about cricket as much as they used to, but Indians do. But the other one I had, I think we touched on a lot of these fun stories around everything. But I alluded to before, croquet was just all French, like just absolutely all French athletes. Like just no other country competed in croquet. At least in the cricket, they pretended to be another country. But like you'd think like half of you be Belgium, you be Luxembourg. Like, but no, it's like the French are like, we'll just beat each other in the croquet. Who gives a shit? I mean, it's got to be a bit that way with some other sports moving forward. Like, like when we get to the winter games and ice hockey tournaments, or maybe just, one country mixed with other countries and just clubs from the one country. But yeah, at least fake it, France. So yeah, that was a bit interesting. But I was going to touch on, if nobody had brought it up at this point, the little boy in the boat, but we've already done that. So yeah,
that's the name of the Olympic movie made about these games, The Little Boy in the Boat.
Don't get it confused with Little Man in the Boat. Colin won't get that joke. But anyway. Nobody does. All the men in here don't get the joke. Men never find the little man in the boat. Never mind.
Okay.
I feel so bad for your wives right now. How am I the only single one here? If neither of these don't know what the little man in the boat is,
living with a cat, we have wives and children.
Women listening to this and going, well, at least one person on this podcast knows what the little man in the boat is. Jesus.
I will not Google.
They are so dumbfounded right now. They have no idea what I'm talking about. Anyway.
We don't know the euphemism. Then that's where we're lost.
Just Google it. Google it when you're.
I probably also
Google
haven't
it.
experienced it. I almost guarantee, but I also don't know the euphemism.
I'll message Jamie right now. Anyway, other Jamie, not that Jamie.
My story you may not know. Margaret Abbott, who won the women's golf competition, is one of these sad stories. She dies in 1955 and was completely unaware that she was an Olympic champion.
Wow.
Had no idea. A researcher at the University.
That was a clean sweep too, right?
I think so.
U.S. swept. Yeah, U.S. swept the women's golf.
Well, the additionally interesting thing is that Margaret Abbott competed in that tournament with a woman named Mary Abbott, who finished 7th, who was her mom. So it's the only time a mother and daughter tandem competed in the same Olympic competition.
Not her wife, not like the nephew and the husband before. So like, just, to clarify.
That's different. That's different.
Wow, that's sweet. I like that. Mum and daughter in the same event. Oh, good for them. The Abbotts. It's like
the Abbotts.
The Kardashians of the 1900s. The Abbotts. Oh, it's not funny, Ben. Move on.
We're on to the medal boards and the top medal winners.
Did we not mention our winners of our countries? Like, didn't I get to talk about Australia's medal winners, or are we?
I've already talked about Orton and Ronald.
Oh, sorry. On my list, I just had that after the medal board. But yeah, go away. Let's fire away.
I mean, it won't take long. I mean, you never do the Americans because you're here all day. But like, we had two. Technically, we had three. I want to cover one in just separately because history is erased one from the athlete history books of Australia. But we had two athletes who both won medals. So Colin touched on Stan, who obviously came away with 3 bronzes and a gold, and technically that gold was for Britain. But the great history of Australian Olympic swimming started in the 1900 Olympics. Frederick Lane, 2 gold medals, 2 events, 2 gold medals. He won the 200-meter freestyle. That's all right, standard event. But he won the 200-meter obstacle event. Now, I don't know if you read about what the obstacles were, but basically you had to apparently jump over a bar to get into the water. Then you had to jump over some boats and then go under some boats and then keep on going. Now, back to my esteemed athletic career. When I was like, I think 8, I went in the obstacle course and I think I got 3rd. Great. I had to get in a sack and you trying under some hoops and like a tarpaulin, shit things like that they make kids do. But like this needs to be an Olympic event, and not just so we can get great Frederick Lane's ancestors to come along and do this, but I mean, that is an event that would do well on TV. The modern pentathlon, obviously, we're getting sort of an obstacle ninja warrior style course, right? Like just add the swimming into that, that's 2 of your sports done with, over and done with. The other one I needed to mention though, because this one is where the history books sort of go a little bit skewed when it comes to a medalist from Australia who was a medalist, but he wasn't. Donald McIntosh, a shooter. He won a gold and a bronze in the live pigeon shoot. How he won a gold and a bronze in the same event, I don't know. Obviously, he was that good that he could win 2 medals in the one event. But forever, he was obviously, because this was like technically a professional event. He was a professional shooter. He was being paid. So at the time, didn't count. But in the 50s, the IOC commissioned a Hungarian person of note to go through the history of the Olympics to officially go like, these are the Olympic medalists. He classified Donald McIntosh as Olympic medalist, but wrongly classified him as winning it in archery, so therefore it was scrapped. But then an Australian historian, I need to look at the name because I keep forgetting his name, Harry Gordon, esteemed Australian historian, he apparently then went to the IOC in like 1992 and was basically like, no, like he's an Olympic gold medalist, classify him. So from about 1992 to 2012, he was officially classified as an Australian Olympic gold and bronze medalist. The AOC registered him as a gold medalist. He was classified as our first ever Olympic gold medalist shooter. But then in 2012, the IOC were like, nah, bullshit. He is right from our history books. So therefore, the AOC now formally doesn't recognize him as an Olympic shooter. So technically a gold medalist, but not. But the story about Donald that gets even better, he was blind in his left eye. And he won an Olympic gold and an Olympic bronze shooting real bloody birds, if you don't mind. And after all these years, the poor guy didn't even get to keep his medal. So We had 3 athletes who technically all won medals. Not quite on Edwin Flack levels of notoriety, but yeah, I mean, we're batting, just saying right now, after 2 Olympics, we are 100% for our athletes winning medals. Always win medals. 3 official Olympians after 2 Olympics, all 3 of them are Olympic medal. Imagine if all 400 of our athletes going to Paris last year won medals. We'd be pretty bloody happy with that. So we're 100%. In your face, USA. You can have all your medals. We're 100%.
Well, thank you for that.
Aussie. Oi.
Ben, you got the top 5 individual medal winners. I had a little trouble tracking this down, and I didn't want to just rely on ChatGPT.
Well, I made sure that I got ChatGPT to help, but then I fact checked, and I'm pretty accurate on because even in the book I've got here, this book here, which I'm holding up, great book, published for the Sydney Olympics. There's Michael Klim, there he is. Even this lists the same ones that I've got. So I'm doing this ranked by the Ben Waterworth methodology of total medals, not gold. So Irv Baxter, 2 gold, 3 silver. He won 5. Walter Tewksbury, that was in athletics, by the way, sorry. Walter Tewksbury, also for the USA, he got 2 gold, 2 silver, and a bronze, also in athletics. We mentioned Al Crane's line, 4 gold in athletics. And I mentioned 2 other ones there. Conrad Starley of Switzerland, 3 gold and a bronze in shooting. And Hubert van Innes, my man, 2 gold and 2 silver in archery. So they're the 5 that I've got. I don't know if I've missed anyone, but I feel my research was quite thorough this time around. I didn't just get lazy like last time.
Medal board.
This is fun. Who?
Considering they had 720 of the 1,200 athletes. France, 27 gold, 38 silver, 37 bronze, 102. I wonder if France has won 102 medals since this games.
Let's have you keep talking. Look, I mean, this is the thing. Can I just add with the medal tables? Like, literally, I'm looking at it. Like, there is no official, like, even the Olympic website of all the Olympics, the 2 Olympics they do not have an official medal table. Is this in St. Louis? So even when you're reading out those medals, Jamie, it's different to the one I'm looking at right now. So I'll look at France's in the meantime.
Number 2, USA, 19, 14, 15 for 48 medals overall. Great Britain had 15 gold, 8 silver, 9 bronze. So that's 32. And then I don't know who makes up the mixed team. Do you have that, a mixed team list?
Yeah, there's many. To quickly answer your question, by the way, France has never won more than 100 medals at an Olympic Games since these. So, no, by far their best. Look, this is, again, the contentious part of it because people even, like, how do you classify? Like, technically, some people classify, Stan as being part of a mixed team, even though he was only 1 Australian and, like 4 Brits. So, yeah. There's not a firm answer there, Jamie, unfortunately, I don't think.
So medal table's kind of a sham. The rest of it, number 5, Belgium, number 6, Switzerland, number 7, Germany, number 8, Italy, number 9, Australia. That's legitimate, though.
But this is the thing. It's legit. But can I totally interrupt again? But like literally, like there are some medal tables that do not count Frederick as an Australian. They count him as a Brit. So therefore, we're only classified as having won 3 bronzes. It's like this is there, but like. It's legit because the AOC in our history, it is confirmed that Frederick is a 2-time Olympic gold medalist. So, like, yeah, it's dumb that some of these medal tables don't have us having 1 gold.
It kind of calls into question too the which countries won their first medal, because I'm not sure.
I basically deduced it as Belgium, Italy, Netherlands, Cuba, Spain, Austria, Norway, India, Bohemia, and Sweden. Based off the Athens one and based off the one tally that I classified as like official. And then I added here, like, Australia's first ever swimming medals. And I mean, Canada, again, it's that technicality, right, Colin? Like, your first ever Olympic medalist is Georgia Orton, but it's not registered on your official Olympic tally, is it? That he is an Olympic medalist. It's an American medal, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it counts as United States still.
Yeah. Bloody America.
So you're welcome.
Yeah, thank you. Finally,
Kaylee Humphries all over again.
Stealing that medal of George Orton's is the worst thing we've ever done to
Canada. Wow.
get top medal winners. Sorry, Canada. Australia, we leaned at the tape and won a few more medals than you.
Mm-hmm.
Awards.
Yes.
Here we go.
Okay. So athlete of the games, the Michael Phelps Award. Did you like the trophies? Did you like the AI trophies that we published?
Bulgy's great.
Bulgy. Can I just
very much?
You love my back and forth that I was setting. That basically ChatGPT were like, "Oh no, that's too inappropriate." But then they literally created a statue of a giant dick, and it was like a gold penis. But then they were like, "Oh no, a bulge in underwear is inappropriate," but he's a fucking cock in solid gold. I eventually got it to work, but like, Jesus, ChatGPT, you would know what a man in the boat is. Yeah, I mean, it's this is that tricky one where it's like, do you go for the obvious one of like, let's make it the person who won the most medals? That is the Michael Phelps Award. There's a reason for that. But then, is it Al because he won 4 gold? Is it Irv because he won 5 medals in total? Like, I don't know. We haven't had a Launceston Elliott of these games, have we? We haven't had somebody who we've all been like, oh, I love this guy. I mean, mine's Hubert, but I mean, I don't think you two were sold on Hubert.
I would lean towards Alvin just because of how long that record has stood, you know, and it's something that'll probably never be broken, but it's not like I'm dying here just supporting Alvin, but it's something that's still possible for somebody to break. And yet at the same time, you're like, I know nobody's probably going to break that record.
Well, I guess it is.
I mean, the only thing I could think of is somehow there was a decathlete who was also elite it was so elite at 3 of the 10 sports that they could win them. And I can't, just because of timing and schedule.
We've lost the Carl Lewis's and the Marion Joneses of doing the 100 meters and the long jump.
Jumps,
if Noah Lyles could do the 100, the 200, the long jump and the triple jump, but he's not going to do it. So, yeah, I'm happy with Al. If Jamie, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, that was my pick.
I mean, sure. American and track and field. What a stupid thing to ask Jamie. Oh, are you okay with that? No, Ben, absolutely not. That's disgusting. Why would I want an American athletics person? No way.
Guys, don't come in here right now. I'm getting made fun of by Ben.
He will beat you under the table again.
All right, go be a coxswain.
Oh, they were saying go be a cock. I'm like, what? So Al joins Karl Schuber, the guy from last time around that I can't pronounce his name, the German. But only a one sport guy this time around. Sorry, Al, you're not quite Carl level. But the first American. Well done, Jamie. I'm sure the first of many.
I can't believe it took this long.
Yeah. And 2 in a row for athletics. Look at Jamie swaying this one. So the Kathy Freeman, the best host moment. This one's tricky. Is there any?
Yeah, like I know you'd written down the River Seine, which
ChatGPT wrote that down. I'm sorry. This one I got lazy with.
Because I think the issue with that is that it's sort of agreed upon looking back that was a bad idea for at least these games, and a lot of people say a bad idea for the 2024 games as well. So it's very hard to pinpoint anything here. I mean, the World's Fair is going on at the same time.
The fencing one was
to me that sounds cool.
Bad. Yeah. I mean, is it like this kind of contradicts what we're saying that it was a shit show, but do you at least give them like almost like the Last Jedi award? They at least tried. They tried something different.
They didn't Rise of Skywalker.
You know what I mean? Like Ryan Johnson, you fucked it up, mate. You really did. But you at least thought outside the box. You didn't stick the landing. Like, is it a level of Paris at least tried to do something? You know what I mean? You know where I'm going with that? Like, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, you could hold these events anywhere. You're holding in the Tuileries Gardens. You're trying to do something special. Even at that point, that's still a big deal, The River Seine is like, we got water here. Jump into it, So I would lean towards that. I'd lean towards The Last Jedi over The Rise of Skywalker.
Jamie, I don't know. Like
I mean, the fencing. I mean, I think of it as a very French sport. So I mean, at least like you said, they put a little thought into a sport that's really important to them nationally, even if they were going to have, the discus by the farm.
So what are we saying here? That it is the level of venues that they did, or we're just going with the fencing? I need to write something down on the list so in like 10 Olympics times we can look back and go, oh yeah, that's why we chose that.
Like we just say location of events.
Location of event.
Yeah.
Inspiring.
Cool. All right. So the Kathy Freeman award goes to the location of the events. Cool. All right. Works for me. The Cool Runnings Award then is, I think, what we're at now. Yep, the story of the games. ChatGPT and I kind of got to be in agreement of it. Charlotte Cooper. I mean, again, first individual champion. But
yeah, like the only thing I would say, and I said this earlier, takes away from Charlotte is that would this even be a big deal to her at the time, you know? 3 Wimbledon wins, and then she does the Olympics. Is there that much resistance towards women shouldn't be here? I kind of like the idea, even if it's not a story of the athlete, just the search for the unknown boy.
I mean, actually, I think that might win. But I mean, I like the one that I think, like, even just through my research, the fact that, you know, Constantine might be the first black gold medalist. Like, again, like similar to what you're saying though, Colin, like maybe it wasn't like a thing where it like doesn't really know what it was and how groundbreaking that was. But I mean, look, if we were to look at this on a modern movie lens, they're going to be making a movie on Charlotte or they're going to be making a movie on Constantine. Well, that's just how it rolls, right? That's what we do.
Yeah.
But I think this little boy story is pretty darn good to ignore. Like, I mean, I think this is one of these ones where there are so many, like, because this was such a shit show. I mean, you just make a movie on the whole Olympics, you know? It's like a comedy, like a Naked Gun, like a spoof movie, you know?
I don't know if you guys if you're big Saturday Night Live fans, but I thought of this when you brought up the 1963 World's Fair in New York. But and this is an Olympics podcast, but the Lonely Island, that crew, they did a short called Space Olympics.
Oh yeah.
Have you ever seen that?
It's on their first album. I have that song. Yeah.
The video of it is pretty ridiculous, but they shoot it in front of those like flying saucer Men in Black structures at the
I remember when it's a drive past those. I'm like, Men in Black.
We can get those guys to shoot the Paris 1900 movie.
Yeah. I mean, like, I don't know. Like, I think you could, but like, I'm the little boy is pretty good as well. I don't know, Jamie. You could be the deciding vote.
Yeah, the little boy. I vote for the little boy.
That's the movie I want to see.
So I'm literally going to have on record The Boy in the Boat.
The Little Boy in the Boat.
Look it up. Little Boy in the Boat winning gold. All right, I'll add that little prefix there so it doesn't sound too dirty. So basically, Little Boy in the Boat winning gold. Nationality, I guess where did you say he was apparently from, Colin?
Well, the only somewhat credible lead is that he might have been Georgian.
That's okay. We'll go with Georgian because at the end of the day, we're going to
the country, not the state.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
We're a bit away from those Olympics.
America's not winning all these awards.
So far in this category, we've had a Greek athlete and a Georgian athlete, and we've covered athletics. Oh God, of course we have, and rowing. So there you go. The Bulgy, the Colt Hero.
Do we have one?
I want to give it to Hubert, my Belgian archer. You know, winning 2 gold, 2 silver, comes back and wins a medal. Maybe for Antwerp. I don't know. The little boy almost could be the Colt Hero.
Yeah. I kind of agree with that.
I have an issue with giving a young boy an award called the Bulgy.
What about?
Yeah, fair point.
But like, this is where okay. Well, I'll put one out there to my good shooter friend Donald McIntosh. I mean, again, technically non-Olympian. Technically, he got his things taken away from him, but half blind, wins the gold and a bronze in the same event.
Yeah, that's a pretty good pitch, actually.
In the same event. Or there could be the bronze medalist in the underwater swimming who just swam around.
Oh yeah,
I need to find this guy's name.
I think I vote for that one.
I
like the guy who swam around in the
No, I talked myself. I nearly got one for Australia there, but seriously, let's find this guy's name. The guy swam around in circles. He should have won. Let's be honest. So what's this guy's name? Underwater swimming. Peder Lakeberg of Denmark is his name. And I'm trying to find the distance he swam. He swam.
He swam like 30 meters.
28.5 meters, right? But what should have won? He was underwater for 90 seconds. All right. So Charles Devendale, who won the gold, so he basically got points. So for every second and combined with the distance, it came to a points tally. So Charles was underwater for 68.4 seconds, but he swam 60 meters. Andrea Six, who got silver, was underwater for swam for 60 meters, but was underwater for 65.4 seconds. So their combined points are 188.4, 185.4. But Peter was 90 seconds underwater, but only swam 28.50. He swam the fifth lowest length, but he was just doing it in circles. I mean, come on. Yeah, no, I'm on board with him. If we're on board with Peter,
let's go with it.
Lakerberg. I also love here that on Wikipedia, the background. This is the only occasion such event was held. It was not featured because of lack of spectator appeal. You think? I mean, nowadays you have cameras.
Has it started yet? Where are they? Where are the swimmers?
He won gold.
Oh, there's one. Okay, there's one.
I don't know if you guys have ever seen the sport of underwater hockey. It was quite big in Hobart, but I think the cameras after so long, don't really show the appeal of it. Peter there he is, winning the bulgy. There you go. That's why he was underwater for so long. He had such a bulge, it was sinking him.
Do you think they all got in the water at the same time? Because that would be a really boring event to watch.
But then I feel even worse for Peter that everybody's bugging off and he's just swimming. He's like, where is everyone? He's thinking there's going to be a whirlpool of 20 people swimming in a circle. They're all halfway up the Seine. Oh, there you go. Oh, poor Peter.
Is that all the awards? Are we moving on to legacy and conclusion?
That is it. That is, I believe, all the awards, unless you've got another one that we want to add at all. No?
I don't know that this games is worthy of an award.
Maybe it's the award. We give a St. Louis Paris award for the shit thing of these games.
You got something there. I like that. City legacy for the games, I don't really think much, but the expo is pretty impressive. All the technological advancements they showed off that we talked about.
Read
Ferris wheel.
Read about I think it's pretty renowned, the Paris 1900 World Fair, for the escalator, and this is where they thought they were humans going to be on moving walkways above the street level. It's so futuristic if you see some of the stuff they were planning back in the day. But I don't know in terms of I think the combined legacy of St. Louis and Paris are that don't ever hold it with the World's Fair. They need to be their own standalone event.
Yeah.
So,
but I did like Colin's point from earlier that although they might have been some thinking that the Olympics might have a better chance to survive. I mean, I get the logic. Let's align them with another big international event, but.
It's. It
backfired.
The legacy is women. It's women competing, and even non-white people competing as well. I think based on what we've discovered with that. But I struggle.
I mean, France's legacy, part of their legacy. They're on their way to now having hosted the games.
True.
6 times.
Their most successful
winter
Olympics.
And summer.
Most successful Olympics ever, still to this day. Obviously skewed. And again, you would argue legacy of certain sports being introduced that, that's about it, really.
Coubertin reflected, quote, "It's a miracle that the Olympic movement survived that celebration."
Yep.
End quote.
Yep. Imagine that. We wouldn't be talking right now. That was it. There were 2 Olympics in history. Somebody would have revived it, surely. Ted Turner, he wouldn't have had to do the Goodwill Games.
Yeah.
Good old Ted. Vince McMahon, the ex-Olympics.
Oof.
Wow. Don't say that, Ben.
Well, there it is. The one half of the farcical. I'm going to get that word. One half of the farcical games in the books.
The real ones are next, though, right? The real farcical ones.
If any listeners are like, "Oh man, too bad. I'm never going to hear about an Olympic Games worse than Paris 1900."
Oh,
hold my beer because we're going to be back with
only in
St.
America.
Louis Like, yeah.
Should have been Chicago, but obviously not.
Yeah, well, that's it'll be interesting to talk about that. I don't whether or not it was planned to be part of the St. Louis. I know they made that decision kind of late in the game, but
Patrick shared in our group chat a book, a St. Louis 1904 book. I've actually just bought that book, and I don't know if it will arrive in time before we record the episode. But yeah, I mean, look, I have read stories. We obviously had the George Iser episode a year or so ago, you know, and everything along those lines. But yeah, like if I am to rank my Olympics in terms of just favorite and just learning stories and just random things, Antwerp's number 1, but St. Louis is probably number 2. So I'm very much looking forward to delving into the history more of it, because from what I have read and what I have known from these Olympics, I mean, like it makes Paris look like a well-organized Olympics. So I think we're making the most of these, because obviously we're going to have one more of these and we'll have the intercalated games. And then I guess we get back to normality for 1908 in some capacity.
What passes for it?
Yeah, but no, I mean, I this is one of those ones as well that I think that if you were to go to every person on the street and like name me America's Olympic cities, I guarantee you St. Louis probably gets forgotten about that is technically an Olympic city, right? So,
yeah, it's either that or Squaw Valley.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, so
yep, completely agree.
But
like in fairness, we're gonna get some proper serious stuff because some actual Olympic events kind of make their debut there. I mean, even as demonstration sports, where there's silliness, but then there's also like the beginnings of boxing and basketball.
Yeah.
So it won't all be mockery, and women take a step back next time too.
Take a step back. Exactly.
Well, I hope I pulled off the hosting duties.
Very
okay,
well done.
Ben.
You did very well, Jamie.
I'd like to point out that I did not mention she whose name should not be mentioned.
Well, you
and
just
I will
did
not.
then and you're fired. So, you know.
What's that, Aaron?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Well, then I'll hand it back to
I
you.
I nearly
to,
went 24
to
fucking hours without having to think about her. And the fact that she dominates the news. Oh, God, you were doing so well, Jamie. Thank you. Seriously, Jamie, you did a fantastic job. And how did you find your first ever hosting of a podcast?
A little nerve-wracking, but you know, I'll get better.
You did well, yeah.
I'll get better.
Well,
Thank you.
Colin and I might get better one day too. We've only been doing this for about 15 years. So. I've been doing radio and podcasts for 21 years. You think I might get good one day? So
you get through the obstacle of children interrupting, and it's a breeze.
I mean, my cat bug is off.
It was more the spider. The spider was really the thing that took me off my game.
Jamie, my friend, just show me in terms of how big it was. Show me the size of this spider. Show me it
was probably it was a black widow about the size of your fist. Yep. I would say. I mean, it wasn't one of those. I'm just kidding. It was a daddy long legs. It just scared the hell out of me.
You don't know the meaning of fear of seeing a spider and jumping out of your
huntsman
seat.
Spiders. Everything in Australia can kill you. I know.
The constant debate between Ben and I, it's like, Canada, we don't understand what spiders are. It's like, Ben, you don't know what a mosquito is until you've come here.
That was always my favorite thing about living overseas. When I hear somebody scream, spider, I could be brave. I could be like, well, I'll get that sucker. It won't hurt me. Right now, if I hear the words, spider, I'm hiding under the bed. Like, that's going to eat me in my sleep. Like, you don't understand. Huntsmen don't even kill you, Jamie. Huntsmen are harmless. This is the issue with the huntsman spider. They can be as big as a dinner plate on my wall behind me right now. It won't even do anything to me. It's just scary to look at. It's like me. I'm not going to do anything to you, but you don't want to look at me. Like, well, anyway. Well, I am single.
Yeah.
This episode was going so well until you turned it back over to Ben. One mistake you made.
I've been sitting here for 2 hours now. It's all about me again, all right? Because I'm the only one who knows what the man in the boat is. Like, subscribe, do all the regular things. We've got some great episodes coming up. Lots of athlete interviews and newscasts and everything along those lines. And a big month coming up this month when it comes to the Sydney 2000 Olympics. I'm dating. If you're listening to this in the future, doesn't matter because the episode still exists. A whole month basically celebrating the Sydney 2000 Olympic Games and lots of great interviews and opening ceremony reviews. Colin will be on that one as well, and just reliving the memories of the greatest Olympics of all time. And I can say that because no other IOC president has ever said it since His Excellency said it in the closing ceremony. So technically I am 100% correct there. Offthepodiumpod.com, do all that. and like and subscribe and all the regular things. If you've enjoyed today's episode, my name has been Ben Waterworth. And if you haven't, it's been Jamie Lyko. Good night.